Brethren, if any man be overtaken in a fault, you which are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering yourself, lest you also be tempted. Galatians chapter 6, verse 1. In our program today, we're going to be talking with people who are seeking to put this verse into practice in a very practical way. So stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
How do you explain? How do you describe?
In Him, all families are blessed. Join our discussion on Fabric of Family.
You know, addiction is a horrible thing. It becomes a cruel master that influences our thoughts and behaviors and destroys precious relationships with family and friends and, yes, even God. That's why I'm so happy to have with me for our discussion panel representatives of Project Rescue. Project Rescue is a faith-based addiction recovery program that is a work of congregations and individuals associated with the Church of Christ. And they're having some great results. But before we begin our discussion about the work of Project Rescue, let me invite you to watch this next short segment. It's one that we recently shot in Zambia, Africa, on the banks of the Zambezi River.
Glory, hallelujah. Hey, praise God Jehovah. Amen. Amen. Amen.
My name is Webi Ken Banyama, an instructor at Zambia School of Biblical Studies in Livingstone. We are in Musyotunya Game Park. It's a small park. It is located in Livingstone, Zambia, in Africa. And we are at the end of the park. As you can see here, there's Zambezi River here. And in the Zambezi River, there are a lot of crocodiles and hippos. And in most cases, when the hippos, when you see them as a family. There are many of them, and usually they are sort of like there's a family tie. We can learn a lot from the animal kingdom. For example, when you talk about hippos, is that usually they stay together wherever we're going to find them. There's a good tie there. We can learn a lesson. Let's talk about a word for the family. In our world today, we can learn a lot of lessons from animal kingdom, where we see there's a family tie. Many homes today, they are breaking. There are a lot of divorces and remarriage. It seems we have a big challenge from a human standpoint. When you learn a lesson from animal kingdom, we can see that they maintain their families. That's the way we need to maintain our families as well. The husband, they need to love their wives as they love themselves, and also wives to submit to their own husbands. Children, they need to be respectable so that they can behave well. And when talking about going to worship as a family, we need to move together as a husband and wife and children to go and worship God. That would be a wonderful thing, because we see in the animal kingdom, they always have that family tie. That's a very good lesson that we can learn to us as human beings today. My name again is Webi Kena. I'm an instructor at Zambia School of Biblical Studies in Zambia, Africa.
I want to thank you for joining us for our panel discussion today. I'm really excited about our guests that we have with us and the work that they're involved with. Sitting beside me here, we have Roger Jackson. Known Roger for many years. He is someone who has been active in preaching the gospel over the years and very excellent writer. Mm-hmm. And he is involved in Project Rescue as well as, I should say, Ronnie Crocker. Ronnie is someone I just recently met, but I've read a little bit about him and a little bit about the work that he's involved with. But But I'm glad to have both of you men here. I think it would be good maybe if we just take just a moment and let you tell us a little bit about yourself. We'll start with Ronnie.
Well, appreciate the opportunity to talk about Project Rescue. We're an addiction recovery program, primarily reaching out to members of the Church of Christ, men caught up in the snare of addiction to drugs and alcohol. According to Galatians 6:1, if anyone's overtaken in a trespass, you who are spiritual, restore such a one. So that's really what we're doing in our ministry, restore. It's a restoration, trying to win them back. We feel we serve as a bridge back to the Lord. James 5:19 and 20 there. If someone wanders from the truth, and we let him know that he who turns the sinner from the error of his way will save a soul from death. So we have 19 acres outside of Decatur, Alabama. So it's an in-house. The men come there to live. The strategy is if they're living somewhere, they're hanging around with the wrong people, going to the wrong places. So they can come to Project Rescue where they're in a safe place. We're a Bible-based program. We're not professionals. Roger and I are ministers. And we have other ministers come to help. So we're a Bible-based and church-focused ministry to win them back. That's really it in a nutshell.
Well, it sounds very exciting. I'm going to look forward to learning more about this as we go through our discussion. Roger, tell us just a little bit about you and kind of how you came to be associated with Project Rescue.
Well, I've been preaching the gospel for 47 years, and along about the end of my preaching career, I became overcome with alcohol addiction. I struggled with it for a good long while and gone through several treatment programs, which didn't do a whole lot of good for me. But when I came across Project Rescue, I recognized in that not only what would work for me, but also how it would work for other people as well. And it afforded me the opportunity to do what I wanted to do, which was help men who had been overcome by addiction to get back on their feet again and be good husbands and good citizens. And more important than all of that is to be good, faithful members of the church. And our program takes these men away from their addiction, puts them in a setting where that they can relax, teach them the Bible, draw them closer to God, and then put them back out as useful citizens and as useful members of the church.
So what is the overall objective that you're seeking to achieve as you work with these men?
Well, two really. The main one being to win them back, for them to repent, to hit Psalm 51, to hit their bottom as the prodigal son came to himself, and then from that point, the base summary of the program, it's to pray, read the Bible, study the Bible, do the Bible, and help others with the Bible. And we feel when they do that, then they're going to get back on their feet spiritually, back into the church. And then we also help them to assimilate back into society by helping them find a job, to become financially independent. So there's two sides.
So this is an in-house treatment?
Yeah, Barry, we teach them to put God between them and their addiction.
That's right.
In other words, that's the reason for the Bible teaching, not only to win them back to the church and to convert the ones who aren't members, but also to tell them that your greatest hope in staying sober is God. Amen. And so we put you in a position where you're here, God's here, your addiction is there, and it's got to go through you to get to Him.
We believe that's the answer. We believe the Bible's the answer. There's a lot of, in America, we have the best psychiatrists, the best counselors, the best medicine, and we're losing that war that Nixon declared in 1973. We're not doing too well in that war. And we, as the church, we have the Bible, we have the gospel, and it's the answer, and we're seeing it done. We have 17 men there right now. We reach out to all, like Galatians 6:10, especially to the household of faith, but we've also baptized 17 men into Christ the last 2.5 years we've been in Alabama.
Well, now I know Roger shared just a moment ago a little bit about himself and that this was something that he has struggled with and failed to. And what about you, Brother Crocker? Is this something that has been in your life that you've had to deal with?
About ruined my life, and I thank God. I obeyed the gospel in prison in 1986, and that was after 15 years of drug addiction. I lost. It's just a taker like the devil, and it took everything from me. Before that, I was in and out of jail, in and out of drug programs, ruined my whole life, ruined my family. Thankfully, a gospel preacher was coming into that prison, Frank Parker, and he taught me the gospel. I got out in 1989 is when I started Project Rescue, primarily going into jails, prisons, and even the very mental hospital that I was in to teach the gospel. So that's how I got into this work, reaching out to people struggling with addiction. And then we bought a facility in 2007, which has really made the work so much bigger because we have the men right there with us. They're giving us control of their lives as they learn to control their own lives. So that's how I come out of it.
Tell us a little bit about the program itself. I mean, if someone was looking at possibly entering into the treatment program, what do they expect? I mean, what do they need to know?
They need to know, first of all, that and I'm not knocking any other program, I'm just saying that it's been proven by the court system that the 14 to 28 day programs don't work, and they admit it themselves. It takes a longer time, and the court system approves of our method of doing things because we're long term. For the first 6 months, we like to keep a man just as far away from the possibility of getting drugs or alcohol as we can, and then begin, as he gains the privileges, to work him back into society. Give him an opportunity to get away from it a while, to get into a wonderful setting of peacefulness where he can rest and think about it, and then give him the principles that will allow him to make the decisions that he needs to make when he's back out on his own.
So the typical treatment period is what?
6 months.
6 months. We're a 6 month to 1 year program. We'd rather have the year. We believe we need the year. And it starts out as, like Roger said, highly restrictive. They're not allowed to have money. They're not allowed to have a telephone that's not restricted. They're under what we call an ADA. We know where they're at all the time, and most of the time they're with us. And then in time, as they start to get stronger and stronger spiritually, then we give them more freedom to see if they can handle it. But a lot of times there's a relapse and then they start all over. But we've graduated 18 men in 2.5 years, and all but 2 of those are continuing, and we believe that's because of the Bible-based part and the follow-up, where we need help from Churches of Christ for the follow-up, for them to be in a good, strong congregation with spiritual support. Those are the ones that make it.
How does this work with individuals who have families? You're talking about being away for a long period of time. Is that just part of the program?
Well, most of the men we have, their wives have
Already
already
lost their
tired of them.
Okay.
There's a few though, and it is hard because we tell them right now, you do not have time to work on your marriage, because just as Roger said, the main thing at first is they need a good, strong connection with God, and they need to work on themselves. Now, eventually though, we'll help them get counseling for their marriage, but sad is the case, most of them, all of their family is sick and tired of being sick and tired of them. By the time they get to Project Rescue, it's sometimes the last resort. Their family has already spent hundreds of thousands of dollars getting them help already. Answer to your question of how they can find out about us is the main thing is our webpage, www.projectrescue.org. We've designed that page for families, for elderships, for the preacher that may be working with somebody, and for the man himself that's considering coming in. The rules are on there, the schedule, and then there's a lot of articles on there about addiction too that will help families also with that. And then if I could say my phone number,
Absolutely.
it's 256 616-1522 is that's the main number that's on our web page too,
All right.
for people to call that need help.
Well, great. That's good information to get out. And I know our viewers will want to take note of that, because this is certainly a subject that affects families in so many different ways. Roger, were you going to make a point?
Alcoholism is a family disease.
Amen.
We have, Brother Gilreath, we have some of the most talented men that you would ever want to meet. Men who are professional men. Actually, some gospel preachers. I've been through the program. And sons of gospel preachers, sons of elders. People who, everybody's worth saving, but these people have made a mistake. And they got caught up in something, and they need an opportunity to get back on their feet.
Those are some excellent points you've made, and you know, that's definitely an area that touches so many families across the country. And I want to talk a little bit more about this, but we're going to take just a few moments. We're going to watch another segment. We've got a segment that's entitled Family Faith Building with Kyle Budd. And so we're going to watch this, and we'll be back to continue our discussion in just a moment.
Hello, I'm Kyle Butt from Apologetics Press. Let's do some family faith building. You know, in the scientific circles, there's an idea called biomimicry. It's an entire discipline of science these days, and the word biomimicry means bio, life, mimicry, to copy or to mimic. Biomimicry is the study of life. It's where scientists look at nature and they try to copy things that they see in nature. Scientists have looked at spider silk, and they have realized that spider silk is stretchy, it's powerful. In fact, it is so strong, it's 5 times stronger than steel. Pound for pound, if you were to have a wire of spider silk the thickness of a pencil, and you had a web of that, you could stop a fast-moving jet plane. Now, of course, scientists would love to be able to harness that type of stretchiness and that type of strength, but they just haven't figured out how to do it yet. What does that have to do with God and building faith? Let's think through that. If it is the case that nature exhibits things that are so interesting and so intriguing and so valuable that scientists want to copy those things, brilliant scientists, scientists who spend thousands of hours studying them, scientists who pour millions of dollars into mimicking life. What does that say about the life that they're trying to mimic? Well, I think you understand that it says that whoever designed that life must be more intelligent than our smartest scientist. However that life came to be so efficient, it had to have an intelligent designer behind it. If brilliant scientists are studying life to try to copy things that will help humans in their everyday endeavors, then that means those brilliant scientists are admitting that there are things in nature that are so brilliantly put together, they had to have an intelligent designer. You see, things like spider silk or the ability that a fly has to maneuver. Scientists suggest to us that a fly, just a normal house fly, is the fighter jet of the animal kingdom. We've been trying to study house flies to see how we can make fighter jet technology. If it takes brilliant scientists and governments millions of dollars and thousands of man hours to make a fighter jet that can't even maneuver like a house fly, what does that say about the house fly? Well, it says that a brilliant designer must be behind it. And that brilliant designer, we read about in the very first chapter of Genesis, don't we? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. I'm Kyle Butt, and we have been doing some family faith building.
Well, we're back with Roger Jackson and Ronnie Crocker. These two gentlemen are working with an organization known as Project Rescue, and as you can tell from our previous discussion, they are involved in a very, very important work. And we're thankful to have them here on Fabric of Family today to tell us a little bit about what they're doing to get the word out, because I know there are others no doubt, who are even watching the program today, who are struggling with addiction, alcohol addiction, drug addiction, or if not you personally, I'm confident you know of individuals in your family. And so thank you, gentlemen. As
Thank you.
I've already said, appreciate so much the work you're doing, and we want to continue to think about the work going on with Project Rescue. And I tell you one question that comes to my mind that maybe some others are thinking about as well is, what is the typical day like for someone who is in the treatment program, if there is such thing as a typical day?
I guess there's not a typical day, but we want them, we try to lean away from being institutional to a home setting. So the men live in, me, my wife, and our daughter live in the main house, and we're surrounded by 11 apartments. Right now, 17 men living in those apartments. They're to be at a devotional at 8 o'clock in the morning. This is Monday through Friday. And they listen to Christian music for about 15 minutes, and then they listen to the Bible as they follow along in their Bible for about 15 minutes. Then we have a meeting to decide our day, and usually there's doctor's appointments, interview for jobs. There's a whole lot going on. But we try to have right at 9 o'clock a Bible class. Roger will teach it, or I'll be teaching it, or one of the men. Roger mainly handles the Bible classes. And then at 10 o'clock, between 10 and 12, they're to be out on interviews for jobs, or some that aren't there yet. Some may be going through, we don't call it detox because we're not a hospital setting, but they still may need to be stabilized coming off the drugs. So they stay right there and work on the grounds. We try to keep them busy.
Are there medical personnel that are associated with Project Rescue?
No, we outsource everything. Our daughter is a registered nurse. She's there, but this is just volunteer. So everything that's professional we outsource, mainly if we need to take them to the emergency room or the doctor, the dentist, or even a psychologist. So it's just really a family setting right there. And then Roger is doing the most important thing on the property. As I said, or as we were talking in between, is I'm just a hound dog. I'm chasing them around if they're to keep them off drugs, to keep drugs off the property, and take them wherever they need to go. As I said, Roger's doing the most important thing. He's conducting one-on-one Bible studies. That's the most important thing. He's doing that all during the day. Sometimes he'll do as many as 5 or 6 one-on-ones in a day. And then we have another Bible class that's 7 that night for the men who worked all day and are coming home. And,
well, Roger, what are some of the subjects that you address in your classes? Is it kind of a mixture of things, or do you kind of have an objective you're trying to achieve?
Now, in the one-on-one classes, we teach hermeneutics.
Okay.
As you and I studied in school, you know, we just start out with this is a Bible.
Right. How to study the Bible.
And then go all the way through studying how to study the Bible. But now in the devotionals, I will use a devotional type of lesson. But sometimes in the 9 o'clock class, I'll also teach something on recovery, such as how the men might stay sober, what they have to do to stay sober, and things of that nature.
Okay, and so you, I know their time is spent trying to find interviews or with prospective employers. I assume some have jobs?
Yeah. I do some of that too.
Okay, all right. And then do you have a meal together there, the men, or
they cook. We go on Wednesday night. Last night we went to Walmart. Usually bring the cameras to Walmart on Wednesday night when I'm swiping a credit card, because they're not allowed to have money. So we have to buy everything they need. So they all know me at Walmart. The guy with the credit card, some other people try to get in. So we buy their food, and they cook their own food, which is one of the good things. They love going out and buying their own food, because when they're away from their addiction, their appetites really come back. So some of the guys get together and barbecue.
Okay.
And the group, the power in the group of the men helping each other is important.
Barry, we also have a requirement that each resident has to spend 4 hours a week in what we call community service, and that's working on the property. We've planted one of the finest gardens in the county this time.
Well, wonderful. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. A lot of what you've shared with us is great, and I know it costs money to
Yes.
provide this.
Well, I'm glad to speak to that too.
Maybe if you could just give us kind of just a brief overview of what's expected on the part of someone who attends.
And that's on the web page too under cost, but I'm glad to speak to it now because we need the church's help. We really believe this is a church problem because addiction falls in the category of sin, and that's the church's territory because we have the solution. So we really need the church's help to support a man in the program. Most of the time the money's gone from the family, and the drug addict or alcoholic doesn't have any. It's $1,600 to support a man for the first 30 days. That covers his housing, his food, and local transportation. After that, it's $600 a month for his housing. But following the first 30 days, we want the man working and supporting himself in the program. We only need the help from the church for that first 30 days.
And you have some congregations and individuals who are helping you on a regular basis?
Not enough. We need to get more support for Roger Jackson, who's doing the most important job on the property. He needs more support, and we're trying to get the Brotherhood's attention regarding this, and we're having a difficult time, but we do have some support from congregations and individual
Well, this
members
is
of the Lord's
exciting,
church.
and I'm glad that you're here to talk with us today. Roger, I understand you've got a book that is going to be coming out very soon. Just very quickly tell us about it.
Yes, Brother Sane is producing it, and it's called Alcoholism from a Biblical Perspective, and it'll be out pretty soon.
And if someone's interested in that book, as I understand, you can go to Sane Publications, the website, and there'll be some information about how to order the book. But this is written from someone who has struggled with this, yourself, Roger, and you know it firsthand.
Amen.
And also someone who knows the Bible very, very well. And so I'm sure this is an excellent resource for whoever may benefit from that. Gentlemen, I want to thank you again.
Thank you.
For
Thank
coming
you.
and being with
Appreciate
us, and surely I know this program is going to help some folks who are listening today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Truly, the folks at Project Rescue are doing a great work, and they're helping a lot of folks who are struggling with alcohol and drug addiction. I'm glad we were able to spend some time today learning more about how they're able to help these people to break the bond of addiction and to get back on the path of hope and recovery through Jesus Christ. I hope you've enjoyed the program today, and if so, why not call a friend or relative and ask them to watch Fabric of Family with you next time on this same broadcast channel. And so for the Jackson Heights Church of Christ in Florence, Alabama, I'm Barry Gilreath, your host, wishing you and your family the Lord's blessings and providential care until we meet again.